How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're going to be talking about a bunch of Pokemon leaks, rumors, and stuff like that today. Let's get started right off the bat. Get yourself a drink. Here we go. So, first things first, there were two posts made by Central Leaks. Now, Central Leaks isn't a leaker, but rather a leaking account that kind of more or less summarizes leaks from other people. But basically what Centro said was, leak, Pokemon anime movies are coming back and Liko will be the protagonist. He then also followed up with another tweet on the same day saying, some contents of the Indigo disc won't be accessible when they release, instead being saved for future events. A nice reminder that literally every Pokemon game has done this. So, basically what's happening here is he's saying this information is, coming from somewhere. It doesn't say from where though, but I'm pretty sure it comes from Riddler Cou. Now, we're also going to take a look at all the stuff that Cou's tweeted, because there is a lot of tweets, but let's at least connect the dots here. First of all, this tweet, leak, the Pokemon anime movies are coming back, is specifically related to this tweet where basically Cou said, her fans, are you ready? And there's such pictures of Liko, whatever you want to call her. She's the main protagonist of the new Pokemon anime, Horizons, and basically just shows her. And then down here, he says, watch her on Big S. So big screen is what I'm assuming he means by Big S, unless he is literally messing with us and it's not, it's not him being genuine and he's like making a joke out of it, because one of the tweets he put out after this was actually this tweet, if you can find it, saying successfully trolled, which is a bit random, but basically I don't know if he's legitimate with this information. I don't think he would tweet it out like this if he wasn't, but what we do know though is that he basically said leak, Pokemon anime movies are coming back. So yes, pretty sure that this does confirm it. I mean, we haven't seen a Pokemon movie since, I want to say, before, like, the disease that took over the world for a long time. We haven't seen one since then. So it's been a long time and it's about time for it to return. And this also perfectly relates well to some of the other stuff here. He said some contents of the Indigo disc won't be accessible when they release, instead being saved for future events. So most likely what this could be is a lot of different options. We're going to take a look at all the different theories, what people think is the stuff that's going to be missing. And if you're wondering where he said this, what this is related to, like that there's going to be some stuff in the new DLC that won't be accessible right away, but rather in the future events. If you're wondering what that is about, I think that might be because Cou replied to a tweet, and I think I even made a tweet about it myself. If we go over to my own profile, if I go to like the likes and stuff, I think at some point I liked a tweet about it because I was a little bit confused. It might have been a tweet from, what's his name? Austin John. I think Austin John said, oh, I'm going to be rushing to complete the whole game, but there's only 10 days before Christmas. Is there enough time to do it? And I remember he replied to that, like Cou replied to that tweet saying, oh, like you're not going to have, here it is actually. So yeah. So basically, Austin John said there's the game, like the DLC is coming out 10 days before Christmas, and he said, definitely not possible, some content's locked. When he said, is it possible to cover all the DLC in that time? So this thing that is locked, we don't know what it is, but it could be related to, again, what was being said there, that, like basically that's what, like, I think Centro was tweeting about, that there's going to be some stuff locked away. Either way, now let's take a look at basically everything else, because there is a bunch of tweets here, like I said, from Riddler Cou. There's a ton of them, and I want to go through all these tweets one by one first and just give general opinions on it before we kind of dive deeper into the breakdowns people have given. So first up is this is just him, I think, mocking the fact that, like, the Pokemon community right now, it's just a desert. It's empty. There's nothing to talk about. It's literally glistening with how nothing there is there. You know what I mean? There's literally nothing. It's pretty empty in terms of actual new info. It's pretty barren, to say the least, right? You can see down here, people are like kind of, messing with him about that kind of stuff, wondering what he's trying to say. Then here he have tweeted out this. Now, this is actually an interesting one. He said, what's beneath this place? And this is specifically the area of Area 0 down there, which we haven't really... I mean, there's not really much to do down there, to be fairly honest with you guys. But this is part of the story when you go down there. So he's saying, what is there to do there? Which is odd, because I would think that that's where we're going to go and get ourselves Dokutaro, right? The new mythical Pokemon, which also might be related to the new movie, if there even is a new movie. Because, again, Cou is being a little bit sketchy about the whole thing. Ziu here says, I don't think we'll ever think about where this place is unless DLC 2 is on sale. I don't know what to show about the whole around this picture. But, I mean, again, there isn't really much to say about it. I think Ziu is trying to pretend that he has the actual game. I could be wrong, but I think he's been trying to pretend that he has the actual game, the DLC already. Either way. Moving on, the next thing he said here, the Involution King of Blueberry, his sibling even tells you to hide from him. So Involution, that's a bit of a weird word. I guess it would be the reverse of evolution. Evolving is getting larger, improve better, I guess. Whereas involution, I guess, is the opposite, going the other way, right? So actually here we can see it. The shrinkage of an organ in old age or when inactive, or the function transformation operator that is equal to the inverse, i.e. which gives the identity when applied to itself. So involution, I'm guessing, is the other way around. Instead of evolution, evolving forward, growing, this is shrinking and going backwards. So I guess like the involution king. So he's literally retracting. He's going backwards in terms of, I guess, his thinking and his logic and everything. His sibling even tells you to hide from him. So I guess he's going to get really dangerous, which I'm excited for, man. I'm excited to see how, you know, Kieran's going to be just turning into a straight up villain. Like, he already is a bit, but he's going to be a full on villain in this next DLC. But, we'll continue on, and here you see Brad asking, hi, just wondering, is Terapagos obtainable in DLC 2? Just wondering what made you ask this. And I guess the reason they asked this is possibly because some people like were saying that, you know, your 3 out of 8 clue, thinking that perhaps only 3 Pokemon are obtainable out of the 8 new ones, and your comment about locked content, he says wrong direction. So I'm guessing he's trying to say wrong direction in terms of what's going to be locked away, or wrong direction on the 3 out of 8 clue. Now, if you don't know what the 3 out of 8 clue is, basically what is referring to there is a old riddle that he made where you say 3 out of 8 Pokemon, and people didn't know what he meant by that. People were thinking, oh, 3 out of 8 Pokemon will be available, 3 out of 8 Pokemon will be locked away, 3 out of 8 Pokemon will be revealed ahead of time, or 3 out of 8 Pokemon will be hidden before release. We don't still know exactly what he meant by that. So wrong direction can mean a lot of different things. But, you know, it could, I mean, he is saying wrong direction, which means generally this is not correct, though, which might be the fact that, you know, perhaps it's not the 3 out of 8 clue that's being referenced, and that the locked content isn't, you know, related to that, but it's something totally different. So I don't really know, but we're going to wait and see what happens with that. Either way, moving on. Now, this is actually an important one. I have a breakdown fully on this one, and I even have a translation for what it says. But basically, it's a picture from, I guess, Instagram of somebody taking a picture of this, like, Master Ball, Pokemon Master Ball, that is literally like one of those things that holds like you know, a proposal ring. I have a similar thing that I used for my fiance when I proposed to her, but not a Pokeball one, just like a regular one. But basically, he posted this, and there is a translation. Like I said, there is a translation I have that's sent to me by Jan, so shout out to Jan, by the way. But I do have a translation of this, and I'll go into it a bit soon. But a lot of people have different theories about what this is all about. For example, you see Pen Paladin here says, a Terra Crystal is the pit of Dokutaro, the diamond shown in this new riddle. So if you look at it, yeah, it's a Master Ball that basically opens up, and there's a diamond inside. He says, a Terra Crystal is the pit of the Dokutaro. It opens up and reveals the crystal. This is an important element the inventors of the Master Ball used in crafting it and giving it its power to always catch. And then here, basically, is an original tweet from Cou where he said, I bet you will be unable to look steadily at this thing after playing Sudachi 2, which basically was him saying you won't be able to look at this the same way after playing Sudachi 2, which is DLC 2, Part 2, Indigo Disc. And then here he has a theory saying, sticking with my theory that Dokutaro's category is the master Pokemon, as in the leader of the retainer Pokemon. So these guys are the retainer Pokemon. And then, of course, Dokutaro, this little bugger, would be basically their actual leader, like the one who controls them, the master Pokemon, right? In control of them. And then also, of course, the whole Peach thing. And then, of course, he posted in regards to the Peach, said, yep, it can open up. And then, of course, what can open up? Well, a Pokeball can open up, and this guy's a literal Peach. So is it possible, like he said, that the Master Balls were made using whatever diamonds, crystals are related to Dokutaro, and then you can't capture him because of that? There's a lot of stuff. There's even a translation in here. You know what? I'm going to show it to you guys right now while we're at it. But basically, if you actually read the translation here, it said something along the lines of, and this is again from Jan, so sorry if I'm misinterpreting it or anything. I really hope I'm not. But basically, it said, now people are going to ruin the 100% catch rate of Master Ball. Please don't use the Master Ball on something that's not a Pokemon. Basically saying you shouldn't propose with a Master Ball, right? That's basically what the reference is here in this actual post. AKA, don't use the Master Ball. You shouldn't propose with the Master Ball. And this, I guess, is what Riddler Cou is trying to tell us as well. It's not going to have 100% catch rate. The same way that proposing to someone, just because it's a Master Ball that you're using with the ring inside of it, does not mean that it's going to give you a guaranteed yes. Same thing here. The Master Ball being used, I'm guessing on Dokutaro, does not confirm that it's gonna actually work. It pretty much doesn't confirm anything like that. It doesn't mean that it's gonna all of a sudden be 100% catch rate anymore. So that's, I think, what they're trying to go for right here. We're gonna dive back into this a little bit later, but let's move on again to the next thing. So this is something we already talked about a second ago, but Lyco, basically the potential that she's gonna be getting her own movie. It is about time. I want to say that the last movie we had for Pokemon, it's been a while. Let's actually look it up. Last Pokemon movie. Like, what was the last one we actually received? Well, it was actually the 23rd Pokemon movie, which was in 2020. That's 3 years ago. You guys to remember, Pokemon movies up until that movie were yearly releases. Every single year there was a Pokemon movie, but that was the last one. And it was The Secrets of the Jungle, which was actually an amazing movie. I love that one. So I hope they can reach that same level with it. And I do wonder if the movie is going to actually connect directly to the plot of, you know, what's happening to Lyco and Liko, again, whatever name you want to use for her, you know, what's happening to her in Horizons. I've been watching a little bit of Horizons with my fiance. Me and her have been watching it, and I don't really know exactly everywhere it's going, but I do wonder if it's going to be a direct tie-in, or if it's going to be just like basically a filler movie, you know, that kind of exists, just the same way that the Ash movies always were, you know, with him. They were never really related to the actual plot. Like, you never saw stuff from the movies make a reappearance. Like, if you watch Secrets of the Jungle, it was totally off the walls compared to, like, everything else going on. It's like, it wasn't related in any way to any of the other stuff. So that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is like, I hope that at least this movie is going to be related to the actual story of Horizons and won't just be a little filler movie and stuff. But nonetheless, though, I'm excited to see this movie because we just haven't had a Pokemon movie in 3 years. It's been like a long enough time now where it's, you know, it's about time for them to give us something new. And I like the Pokemon movies. I think they're a nice way to kind of tie everything together every year. Plus, also, they tend to use the movies for mythical Pokemon. And if I'm not mistaken, Sword and Shield didn't really have mythical Pokemon. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we did really have any mythical Pokemon during that period. So I guess it makes sense that this would be the way to get it. So, hey, it is what it is. Let's move on to the next thing, though. So this is a big one. So Cou posted this saying, who's the artist? And this is a picture of Geta. This is Geta from, of course, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the champion. And it's her with her Glimmora, right? Like, Glimmora is a new Pokemon, and also the most mysterious Pokemon, right? But Glimmora is definitely the most mysterious Pokemon because it's only found in Area 0, and it is a very strange Pokemon because I think it does have, like, the poison typing as well as rock or ground. I don't remember the exact one. But it is a strange Pokemon that we know very little about. And this is like showing her as like a almost test subject, being directly connected to these Glimmoras and then kind of feeding off of her or some shit. But he says here, do you think similar things would happen in Sudachi 2? Basically, a Glimmora-esque Pokemon being directly infused and connected to a human, almost controlling them. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is related to Dokutaro, right? Dokutaro, as I mentioned, we already know that Dokutaro is this little bugger down here. We know that he exists, and we know that Dokutaro could be related to, to this Glimmora. They could be related. Glimmora could be like the positive outcome of Dokutaro, like the opposite of Dokutaro, right? Like a neutral version of it, whereas Dokutaro is kind of like the mythical, the big baddie, right? Which, you know, kind of uses humans to its advantage. But I don't know. I'm curious to see if something like this will develop. I mean, he does say something will, and there are a few theories that we're going to take a look at, as some people are saying, you know, in regards to stuff. So Christian here says, Geta is probably a Glimmora that wanted to become human, got its wish granted via Terra energy, and actually became Geta we see. And then that's a crazy theory. I'm not going to lie. That is pretty crazy. But nonetheless, that is what we have to say about that for now. I'm going to dive back into this again in a second, but I want to just go through the tweets in the order I've laid them out here. So for example, here is Amashinu, who had a bit of a theory on specifically what Cou said, which is that we're definitely not possible to finish the game on day one because some stuff will be locked away. And basically what he says is, Cou reiterates that a lot of the upcoming content is event exclusive. I don't think he says a lot. There's no point here where he says a lot. He just some content, literally the opposite of a lot. He says some contents. Reminder, only 3 Pokemon are obtainable to register in the Pokedex during the playtime of the DLC. Archaludon, Diplin's Evolution, Terrapagos, or Dokutaro. I don't even think that's accurate either, per se. I do wonder, though, like how it's going to be with the Paradox, like legendaries, like the, you know, Raikou, Suicune, we already called Suicune technically, Entei, Terrakion, Virizion, and Cobalion, like all of those guys. Like, how's that going to work with them? Is it going to be a post-game thing? Maybe that's what he's trying to imply here, because those, if you count all of those, that's 4 Pokemon. But then there's like one more thing missing, because I guess he includes Terrapagos and Dokutaro as a single one, because he's not like separated them here, because he's not so sure which one. But I don't know if that's the case though. But I think it's just worthwhile to bring it up that the 3 out of 8 could still be the case here. But Cou did kind of reply to someone saying that, wrong direction. So I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you agree with Amashinu? Is it possible that the 3 Pokemon we will see in the main story is going to be Arcaludon's, Arcaludon, the evolution of Duraludon, and Diplin's evolution, which we don't know what's going to be like yet, but we know it's going to be some sort of multi-headed dragon, and then Terrapagos most likely instead of Dokutaro, because I think Dokutaro is going to be post-game or outside of the main story of the games and just like not related to it. We're not going to see him until much later down the line. At least that's what I think, but we're going to have to wait and see how that turns out. Then we have this post right here from Ziu, who says, you can still learn something about the Blueberry Academy. Team Star will have new content, and everyone will wear school uniforms and appear in new forms. And here we actually do see, I think this is, oh my lord, I've played Scarlet Violet so many times, and I still, Giacomo. This is Giacomo. I'm not going to, I almost was about to like Google it, but no, I know his name. This is Giacomo, the back of Giacomo, and he's wearing a school uniform because yes, he is a student again. He's no longer just like a Team Star member. He says also, according to the animation, Terrapagos appeared by a Terra Ball. Briar's earrings are also made of this. You guys can see the shape of Terrapagos and also the shape of, what do you call it? Like, the actual, like, like the actual pendant that Lyco uses in Pokemon Horizons anime. It's like the same shape. And of course, here is the kind of same thing inside of the Terra Balls, like literally the pendant is inside of it as well, which is pretty crazy. It also says, let me predict the contents of DLC's 2 final trailer that may be released soon. 1 new Paradox Pokemon, something about Kiera, and some mechanics related to the Blueberry Academy, Dokutaro, and new legendary Pokemon. But yeah, that's the thing though. He posted this on the 6th of November, and we still haven't gotten a new trailer, and we are about, I want to say, a month away from this actual DLC. There's a little bit more than a month, a few days extra, but we are a month and a little bit more away from it. So it's not very long now left until we actually have our hands on this stuff. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing though, which is this post right here. This is from Soul, and this is specifically in relation to this tweet, which was, what's beneath this place, right? What's beneath this area? And here is what, Soul has to say. Now, Soul is a legitimately good, leak analyst, as I've dubbed them to be called, but he's a really good leak analyst, and he specifically went in and said the following, which is Paradise, Heaven, Realm, and Rakua. Now, Rakua and that is specifically referring to, like the new location, Blueberry Academy, because it's basically based on like this old like Chinese or I think Japanese like mythological location where like 4 different biomes kind of meet together. Then he says, Dragon and Terrastal Palace outside of our time and space, the Terra Raid Den that we always go to when fighting Terra Raid Pokemon. Portal to the Blueberry Academy or another part of the planet or to a different point in time. So I guess he's trying to say what is beneath this place. Terrapagos' lair where it hides its treasure, just a cave where it guards the treasure, nothing, just a time machine. Since the AI professor said that time machine was the lowest level, of course the AI professor could not know about an even deeper level. This location isn't the deepest part of Area 0, but instead, if the blue door at the 0 gate... Yes, and this is what I've been talking about! I've been mentioning the blue door. There's a blue door, and I've mentioned it so many times. Let's see, area, 0 entrance. I have mentioned this location so many bloody times, it is ridiculous how many times I've brought it up, but I keep bringing it up because everybody forgets this door exists, and I want to bring it up because I think it's worthwhile to mention. But basically, inside of the area 0, right, once you go inside of the first level, like on the first floor, once you're inside of there is specifically 2 doors that you can see. And I'm gonna see if I can open up this, I'm gonna open up this video over here and see if I can find an image of what it looks like on the inside, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. That's not what we need. We need a better image. You know what? I'm gonna just show you this. It's good enough to kind of get my point across. So basically, if you guys have played, like, the game, this might not be the right image to use, but no, this is not the right image. But basically, if you are on the first floor, right, on the literal first floor, when you enter, there's a door on the left and the door on the right. The door on the right is the one you take in the main story to go down and do the way home storyline, right, the end story. However, if you go the other way, right, if you go in the other direction, oh geez, I just messed something up. Either way, if you go the other direction and like you actually do like what do you call it? Like if you go in the other direction and you try to talk to the door on the left, which is a blue-colored, indigo-colored door, it won't actually open. It won't do anything. Like, you won't be able to actually open it up, and there will be no interaction that will go anywhere. It just replies to you telling you you can't access this place just yet, or like this door is currently locked. That's the thing. If there was like some sort of like actually no purpose for that door, it wouldn't be there to begin with. Like, you wouldn't be able to interact with that door if there wasn't no purpose for it. So I still think that the deepest part of Area Zero will be underneath this location, and that will only be accessible through the other door. That's what I think. That door will lead us to the lowest level of Area Zero, where again Terrapagos resides. I think that's going to be the case. And then 8, this symbol could have always been showing us that there was something underneath Area Zero, maybe an inverted universe. And then here we see Pen Paladin saying, what if this symbol literally is Area Zero? The center point is beneath Area Zero, but this space is between two realities, and the inverted funnel is the upside down world. Holy shit, are they going to be pulling Stranger Things in? Because that's actually a cool concept. Like, basically these two like triangles kind of being like our two worlds kind of intermerging into each other, right? Like, they're kind of connecting into each other. And like, this is the point where they connect, right? Like one universe and another universe, or two parallel dimensions, rather, which is interesting. Paldea with the opposite academy, opposite professor, and opposite of Scarlet and Violet. That is a cool concept, actually. That's really cool. But we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. There's a posted theory way back that they're setting up a multiverse type of plot. In theory, Sada and Tura exist in each reality alive still. The one that abandoned Arbin in the game and the one that we never saw. In theory, if the two universes of Scarlet and Violet collided, we have a family reunion, which that would be pretty cool, actually. That would actually be pretty freaking cool. I'm not even gonna lie. Also, shout out to Ondo Region for making this awesome artwork. But either way, let's move on to the next thing, though. So we've already covered a little bit of this. We've covered basically, like, some other stuff. But here's what Soul had to say about this specific post. Now, spoilery, the most mysterious quest for a mysterious Pokemon, similar, is probably a keyword. Because here he says, wow, who's the artist? Do you think similar things would happen in Sodachi? Can't wait to find out more, though. I wish a new form of Pokemon would be involved, too. But we all know, I think, that it's going to be most likely Dokutaro. So, yeah, either way, it is what it is. Also, here is the original artist, by the way, Celeste here, who made it, so shout out to them. And let's move on to the next point. So, we already talked about Centro's points, but here is some stuff people have to say about it, which, for example, Kuro says, Mythicals always hint at the next gen. Mew's genetics, Gen 2 breeding. Celebi's nature, Gen 3 weather. Jirachi and Deoxys, Gen 4's Cosmos. Darkrai and Arceus, the Dream World and Templar cult. Victini and Keldeo, Liberty and Musketeers, France. Volcanion, Alola, Magearna, Galar, Zarude, Gibraltar, Iberia, right? So the thing is, what could Dokutaro be hinting? And then people said, cool, so what does Dokutaro hint? We going back to Japan? Then he says here, the Shikoku Prefecture would be a nice place to base Generation 10 off if they continue with open world, and returning to the roots within the 30th anniversary seems plausible. Then here Jan says, too bad the Tumblecube Island from Pokemon Quest was already said to be based on Shikoku, but hey, nobody cares about that side game, should be fine to reuse. I was originally thinking Tohoku region, but we just got Kitakami. He says here, I was thinking of Georgia, USA, since it's known as the Peach State, but not gonna lie, I would much more prefer Alaska, make Oregon Cryptids the DLC. So that would be pretty cool. But yeah, so basically what he's trying to say here is that Dokutaro is already a good Pokemon to look at, because it already could be hinting at the next thing to come, or a part of the next like games, like either their location, the generation specifically, like the base, like where they're going to be basing that generation on, some aspect of it, some part of the story, the plot, some stuff like that. Like, for example, if you look at like Darkrai and Arceus, them being like the Dream World Templar cult relationship, and then Victini and Keldeo being Liberty and Musketeers, that's fair, but that could have also been, related to something else. But again, I guess it makes sense, right? Because it was for, Generation 6, the relationship there. And then Volcanion in, Gen 6 being to Alola because it's a literal volcano, which makes sense. Magearna, again, same thing there. So yeah, these all are all mythical Pokemon that make those relationships happen. So again, I would love your thoughts on that, guys. Moving on. We already talked a bit about this whole thing. We already did the translation, as you guys know, so we don't have to go back into that again, because we already covered it, so it's not worthwhile. Let's move instead over to this post right here from Soul, who has his own thoughts on this instead. So let's go through that really quick, where he says, spoilery, I'm really not sure about this one, but here's some options of what I think it could be. 1, this is related to Dokutaro, looking like a Master Ball, or the color of a Master Ball. And when it opens, like Ku said, it'll shine like a diamond, or maybe it breaks out of a Master Ball and shines. This is also backed up by his previous riddle. 2, nothing, it's just Cou's joking a bit. And 3, it's a nod to the literal hidden treasure of Area 0 and how we might find it. Maybe we can catch and store the treasure in a Pokeball. It's probably not a Pokemon though. This is related to Terrapagos being caught in a Master Ball, or maybe that Terrapagos is inside of every Terra Orb. Or that instead, if Terrapagos breaks out of a Master Ball, it breaks out shining like a diamond. Maybe it's in its final form. Again, that could be the case, but he also makes a relation to this old post where he says, have you ever wondered why the design of Momo is that simple? There's definitely got to be some truth that I barely see people mention now or speculate online. So, and then here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Either what he's trying to say with this is, and I don't think it's related to Terrapagos, because that's what Soul is saying here, but I disagree with that. I think it's related to Dokutaro still. Is it possible that the form of Dokutaro that we see needs to literally break open? And when it breaks open, we'll see its true form. The same way that you look at like most other Pokemon, they have like alternate forms and stuff. But also, this kind of makes it seem like it's not 100% an actual Pokemon and won't be catchable. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for more here. But again, we'll have to wait and see. And then you see Sora here saying, I think maybe the last scenario, like if Karen catches Terrapagos in a Master Ball and then it breaks out of the ball in an outrage and in its final form. Then we, as a character, have to calm it down with the battle. Maybe it could even be a cinematic part during the battle and Karen helps us. Great theory. I actually think it's a great theory. Genuinely awesome. So yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see how that turns out. Moving on to the next thing though, we have this post right here. And this is from specifically Jan. So Jan actually did the translations for me and helped me out with that. So shout out to Jan. But basically Jan said here, I'll say this separately. I'm gonna be real. I feel weird about this, but basically it was a post about specifically all the the Raging Bolt and the Iron Crown and stuff, saying for anyone who is concerned, Raging Bolt and Iron Crown are both stated to be event exclusive on the official website. This statement also exists in Japanese, so it's not a translation error. Marks 4 out of 8 new Pokemon and sure to be to have availability issues. So again, it does say here that they are during an event that occurs in the hidden treasure of Area 0, and then here as well. Now, I'm going to be real. I think that event is probably rather to do with specifically, and I'm going to just say here, this is my theory on it. I think that's going to have to do with the Area 0 itself. I think that's what, with these guys at least. I think they're going to be in that other door down at that other location. That's what I think about these two and like the other ones that will be shown, like Entei and Terrakion as well. I think we'll find those guys in that other location in Area 0. But basically what they said here is that this could be that 3 out of 8 clue, but it doesn't really match because this is actually 4 out of, this 4 out of 8 rather. So it's a bit weird. Since Cou implied 3 out of 8 Pokemon are available, this means there is one more Pokemon not available. Which one is not available? Heavily tied into the main plot of the anime Terrapagos, or basically not existing in the main plot Dokutaro. I think it's Dokutaro. I think Terrapagos will be available, or maybe it's the other way around, but I feel like Dokutaro makes more sense to have available post-game. But also, maybe I'm wrong because Terrapagos at the same time as well could be the post-game one because it is more related to the movie, so it could be that. But then Dokutaro also could be the one missing because it is the one that's supposed to be the mythical. So it's really all about which Pokemon are missing and which Pokemon are not missing. So these guys apparently would be event exclusive and missing. But again, he says here, I'll say this separately, I'm gonna be real, I feel weird about this. In the past, event-exclusive Pokemon was basically a synonym for mythical Pokemon. Any non-mythical Pokemon cannot be locked in an event and should be obtained normally in-game. I still feel like they're going to be obtained in-game, but during an event in the game, right? Literally, they say here, Scarlet during an event that occurs in the hidden treasure of Area 0, and then here in Violet, in an event, that takes place in the hidden treasure of Area 0 Part 2. So again, it's literally confirming that it's in the game. It's not something that's going to be, a side thingy. At least that's what I feel. But again, this is really weird because this is very confusing. I just find that this event will probably take place post the main story of the Blueberry Academy and when we go back into Area 0. That's what I think, at least. But here you can see Jan saying, I know there's a weird case of Black and White Zoroark and Zoroark tied with a movie event, but eventually Zoroark became a gift Pokemon in Black and White 2 and totally became some common wild Pokemon in later generations. I really don't know what's the deal with the Paradox Swords and Beasts in this case now. I agree, it's very confusing. I agree with Jan. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's it for that. Let's move on to the next thing because Jan actually has some awesome stuff to share, which is from the Chinese, I think, Riddler. I think that's the way to refer to the person. Basically, this is like the way, they're basically a Chinese, a data miner. Sorry, not a Riddler, a data miner. I don't want to mistakenly say what they are, but there's a Chinese data miner who did some data mining, and somebody actually gave a bit of a a version of a translation down here, but basically Jan asked if anybody wanted to see the Chinese data mines. Most of the stuff not brought up by Matt, and possibly some content of side quests in the Indigo disc. If you're interested, please leave a comment. And somebody, Cinda News here, basically said, oh, is this like some of the stuff that was in there? And this is somebody who actually tried to do a translation, but very poorly. We're going to read this translation, but then we're going to give you the corrections of it from Jan. But basically what they said is, taking this information, the Chinese data mine thread on TM Baidu, because I saw a lot of things there that haven't been data mined by the English community. The first thing is, Indigo disc has 242 entries, including 8 new Pokemon. Okay. There's another group project in the BB League similar to the Teal Mask project, right? In the Teal Mask project, what they mean by that is like where you have to run around and find all those pictures. I'm guessing the group project in the BB Academy will probably be doing all these little like, almost like gym challenges, the puzzles, because we already see one of those puzzles shown to us in the DLC trailer, which is to fly around with Koraidon and Miraidon, and then you will have to battle one of the trainers from the BB League, one of the Elite Four members. They continue on. The page, the legendary treasure from Scarlet Violet books, will be updated with new information. Okay. Navi and scan features for the phone. Okay. There's an important plot battle against Glimora and a plot-related double battle with Arven and Penny. Okay. There's a plot battle codenamed Last Battle. Doesn't say much, but hey, there you go. DLC 2 has 2 side stories. Okay, that's we already kind of know that, I think. One of them is centered around Nimona, Penny, and Arven. G-Father and G-Mother, which are, I guess, grandfather and grandmother, are part of this sideline as well. And we also know that, like, one of those is going to be a zombie one. So I think that's going to be related more to, like, the stuff that's unavailable, right? Another centered around Perrin with less text. So, yes, we already know Perrin, who helped us with the Blood Moon Ursaluna, will be returning in some way or shape. The main story of Blueberry Academy is centered around Kieran and Carmen. Ooh, okay. Blueberry's Elite Four, Geta, and Rika also appear in the plot line. Interesting. They would make sense because, okay, that actually makes total sense. Because Rika doesn't make much sense to me, but Geta makes sense because we already saw this whole, like, the thing that Cou was hinting. And I think Geta's relationship to Glimora, because she's like the only person that uses Glimora, is very strange. But either way, let's continue. Team Star has side quests. Penny appears. Okay, that makes sense, because we already saw, like we said, we looked at Jiu. Like, Jiu actually posted that image from the trailer of what looked like Giacomo's back, and he was wearing a regular uniform, so we're going to be seeing them again. Side quests for Sada and Turo, unknown if AI or real. Arven appears. There's a side quest with the codename Steel, could be related to the BB Academy Steel member, the Elite Four member. And zombie NPCs seem to be in Kitakami. They talk normally, though. Speculation by data miner, because the rest of the family of Applin isn't in the Indigo Disc Mask Pokédex, yet you get given the evolution of Diplin, and it can't evolve in the game. Evolution method will be in the next games. It's possibly what's being hinted. We already heard about that a while back, though, but let's continue to what's being said here by Jan, who says, all right, let's talk about some random stuff in the Chinese data mine thread. The Chinese data miner has explained why they could figure out more stuff in the codes than Matt. I'm not translating the explanation in English because it's too difficult for me. Just keep in mind, if you don't believe such info can be figured out from the codes, feel free to leave a comment and say why you don't think that's the case. But here's what they said. According to Datamine, there are NPCs codenamed Zombie you can interact with normally in Mosuyi Town. Okay, interesting. T10 Zombie pop-up dash T10 is Mosuyi Town. Zombie is the NPC codename, and pop-up means this NPC will have an orange speech bubble pop up when you walk close to them. So probably going to be some sort of side quest related thing or important thing to do. So you can interact with them. You guys can see the actual post here from the Chinese data miners. Since data shown shows who will talk in the plot order, it is roughly figured that the main plot for ID will be something like this. Clavel calls you, you go to the BB Academy, you meet Serrano and Lacey, then Carmen and Drayton show up for some reason. After some plot, you challenge the BB League. After you go through the BB League challenges, Geta and Rika show up. Seemingly, Briar is allowed to enter Area 0 with some additional criteria. Likely that she isn't allowed to go alone. After they settle that out, you go into Area 0 with Briar, Carmen, and Kieran. And that's, I'm guessing, where Kieran probably is going to be taken fully under control of Dokutaro and where all that plot stuff is going to actually happen. Moving on. I think down here, let's see. I think we covered most of that. So yeah, I think we've gone through most of that, which that's an actually interesting way to kind of lay out the plot line of this DLC of how it might go. Again, it could be totally different when the game actually comes out, but it's an interesting thing to look at nonetheless. Moving on to the next thing, which is actually a bit of a theory on what the Gen 9 mythical Dokutaro might be based on, which I still think we mostly know that it's based on Momotaro and all that sort of stuff. But here's what basically this could be related to in terms of maybe Terapagos. But either way, so what could a Gen 9 mythical Pokemon be based off of? Well, often found in Eastern art of Minogame turtles, there's also cranes. Also, there are many variations of the tale of Urashima Taro, but at the end of the one popular telling, Urashima himself actually becomes a crane. This might also mirror that the Dragon Palace Princess becomes the turtle in some tellings. Of course, there are other Eastern myths that connect these two animals together too, which is posted in the picture below. Would be really cool to have a mythical that connects back to the actual plot of Scarlet and Violet and DLC, and a crane could still be cute. Though I wonder if Gen 9 will have multiple mythicals or not. Anyways, some kind of variation of this crane is the biggest contender for a future Pokemon, purely in my opinion though. But again, I don't know. Will we get a crane-like mythical looking Pokemon in the future? We'll see. Either way, moving on to the next point, which is actually pretty fun. So, Ayo, and this was posted by Mordecai, who basically said, okay, hear me out. And this is a picture of the tree, this sort of tree design that we saw, like kind of a hint towards, I guess, the white forest, right, from Pokemon Black and White too. But you got that right there, and then here is the same shape you see on like the, this is like the symbol that's used to represent like I guess, you know, for like hospitals and stuff. It's two snakes kind of intertwining. And here's what we said. What he says is also, if the Dipplin Evo is anything like this, it will be all but proven that Game Freak went back and looked through Gen 5 themes and locations to use them for inspiration for some things in Gen 9. Really hoping they spoil us with Gen 5 content in 2024. And again, it does look an awful lot like this as well, right? Like we've already seen Duraludon and, you know, like Arcaludon revealed, but we don't know about the other tree. We don't know what it's related to. And again, a lot of Black and White references, which brings me to this awesome thingy that was shared to me by Anthony. So Anthony here sent this my way and said, yo, take a look at this. And he says, hey, Ruff, I've been watching your leak videos and man, they're the best. Continue the amazing work you always do. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. He says, the reason I'm DMing you is because when I was playing Black and White 2, I noticed this at the museum. Take a look. It's a picture of like the tiki mask, like a tiki mask sort of looking thing. But it also says a mask that ancient people used to wear at festivals. I mean, the only place I can think of in Pokemon where they wear masks during festivals are two places that I can remember. One of those, where they wear masks during festivals, is in the second Pokemon movie, the Lugia movie, where Ash goes to an island where all the people wear masks and celebrate a festival for, like, you know, the freaking, like, the legendary birds and all that, and Lugia. And then, like, the girl plays, like, the Lugia song, like, do 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 do, or whatever. That's one. The other one is Kitakami with the masks. And like we just saw Soul say, it is possible they went back to Black and White and actually took stuff from there, like small things to use as inspiration and to make connections. That is 100% possible, and this looks just like that. So, I'm just going to say, I think it's highly possible, man. I think it sounds cool. Moving on to the final thing, which is also a really cool artwork. This is from Axel Gale Arts, who basically made a design of what, you know, possibly we could be expecting, possibly, for a Entei Paradox form in these upcoming games. And I think it's a cool artwork. I think it looks sick. And having the whole, like, volcano on the back, pretty awesome. But I don't know if they're going to be doing something cool like this. They're probably going to drop the ball on it if we're going to be real. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for watching this video. And this one's been pretty long. I hope you guys enjoy these weekly videos. Please let me know in the comment section down below by just commenting #Paradox and then reply telling me, do you like these longer videos? Do you like them once a week like I'm doing right now? Because I'm trying not to spam you. I'm trying to, like, you know, cover everything in one video instead of just doing 7 different videos over the week. So if you like them like this, just comment #Paradox and say, hey, I prefer it like this, like once a week, or no, I want daily videos. I mean, I will go back to doing daily videos when there is enough content to cover. I just don't want to do like 10-minute videos every day covering small stuff that doesn't have a lot of, you know, substance. So either way, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys very soon and have a great day. Bye-bye.